Joe Flacco took the field Sunday night, and within minutes, nearly 40% of viewers were gone. Just like that, fans turned off their TVs, canceled subscriptions and walked away, not just from the game but from the Cleveland Browns altogether. The moment Shedeur Sanders was benched again, the audience didn't just lose interest, they revolted. What was supposed to be a primetime showdown against the Detroit Lions turned into a full-blown franchise crisis, unraveling live in front of what little audience was left.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
Head coach Kevin Stefanski stuck with Flacco, defending the decision at the post-game presser like nothing was wrong. But everything was wrong. Viewers were livid, sponsors went silent, and Shedeur, visibly composed but clearly distant, stood on the sideline as the team spiraled. Internally, the tension boiled over. Stefanski's grip on the locker room is slipping. His authority? Eroding. Executives are reportedly at odds. And Jimmy Haslam, the owner, is stuck at the top of a franchise now teetering on the edge of total collapse. Sponsors backed Sanders for a reason. He's box office. Marketable. Engaging. But with every benching, that brand power gets flushed down the drain. The Browns didn't just lose a game. They lost a revenue pipeline, an engaged fan base, and possibly their most valuable asset. Fans didn't just boo on social media. They organized. They're showing up with signs, demanding changes, and dragging the team's reputation across every platform. It's not just noise anymore. This is a full-scale revolt. League officials are watching. Because this isn't just a Browns problem, it's an NFL problem now. Networks are reconsidering primetime slots. Ad rates are slipping. Even local Cleveland businesses are taking a hit. What started as a controversial QB decision has turned into a financial contagion. If the team can't sell tickets, can't pull ratings, and can't keep fans tuned in, what's left? And through it all, Shedeur Sanders stays professional, publicly. But behind the scenes, his camp is weighing options, watching the ship sink. And from the looks of it, they're not planning to go down with it. Even the idea of Shedeur leaving, requesting a trade, or walking in the near future. That's a credibility bomb waiting to explode. It's one thing for a team to lose games. But to lose a generational talent because of your own incompetence? That's legacy damage. And in a league where narrative drives everything, that's poison. Let's be clear, this could have all been avoided. Keep Sanders on the field. Own the narrative. Align with fan sentiment. Instead, the Browns did what they always seem to do, ignore the obvious and double down on dysfunction. And now they're stuck in a mess of their own making with no clean exit. So where do they go from here? That's the million-dollar question. The options aren't pretty. Fire Stefanski and admit failure? Risky but possibly redemptive. Stick with the current plan and hope fans come crawling back? Delusional. Hope the outrage dies down on its own? Good luck with that. There's no PR fix big enough to patch what's broken right now. Trust doesn't regenerate overnight, especially not in Cleveland, where fans have been gaslit by this franchise for decades. This was their breaking point, and unless ownership makes radical public changes, that loyalty isn't coming back. And let's not pretend this is just about fans being dramatic. Their reactions are completely justified. This isn't sports radio hot takes. It's a reaction to a team making every wrong move, ignoring feedback, and then acting surprised when the world burns. The league will intervene. They have to. Whether it's scheduling shifts, behind-the-scenes pressure, or leadership evaluations, the NFL can't afford another week of this. A primetime franchise turning into a punchline overnight? That's bad for business. And that's all this league truly cares about. The most ironic part? Shedeur Sanders, the guy at the center of it all, is the only one behaving like a professional. The one showing restraint. The one still showing up. It's everyone else dragging this team through the mud. And if he walks away from this, who could blame him? So here we are, a franchise imploding in real time with fans jumping ship, sponsors withdrawing, and league executives bracing for impact. The Browns aren't just in trouble. They're in huge trouble. Not because they lost a game, but because they lost their fans, their credibility, and possibly their future. And all it took was one more benching. Let's hand out a few trophies before we go. Worst strategic decision disguised as coaching wisdom? That's going to Kevin Stefanski. Fastest fanbase exit in NFL history? Cleveland, congratulations. And most tone-deaf quarterback management of the year? That one goes to the entire Browns front office. If you're as stunned as we are, drop your thoughts in the comments. Is there any way back from this? Or have the Browns officially hit the point of no return? Make sure you subscribe for more weekly breakdowns of the biggest meltdowns in sports and pop culture. Because if this week's any indication, we've got a whole lot more drama ahead. The Cleveland Browns just detonated their own season, and possibly their entire future, with one decision. One player. One benching. On a night that was supposed to showcase rising talent and ignite fan pride, the Browns made the call to bench Shedeur Sanders for the second time, rolling with Joe Flacco again against the Detroit Lions. The outcome? A humiliating loss and a catastrophic 40% drop in viewership mid-broadcast. Fans didn't just boo. They left. They shut off TVs, pulled the plug on subscriptions, and started organizing online protests. For a franchise that spent decades surviving ridicule, this wasn't just another bad game. This was a breaking point. You could almost hear the loyalty snap. What's playing out now in Cleveland isn't just a quarterback controversy. It's a full-blown crisis engulfing every corner of the Browns organization. Coaching, ownership, sponsorships, broadcasting deals, and community trust. The moment Sanders was benched again, the Browns didn't just fumble a game. They triggered a chain reaction that's shaken the league. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just any quarterback. He represented a future fans could believe in. A dynamic, marketable, exciting player in a city starved for success. When he was first benched, fans were stunned. Now, with his second sidelining, on prime time, the anger has erupted into action. People are done being patient. Done being quiet. Done watching this team shoot itself in the foot. And the stats don't lie. A nearly 40% drop in viewership is unheard of. That's not casual fans tuning out. That's core supporters walking away. Fans who've stuck with this team through years of mediocrity and mismanagement finally reached their limit. And they're not just mad, they're mobilizing. Streaming services are being canceled. Social media is on fire with boycott hashtags and calls for resignations. Sponsors, already nervous, are quietly reevaluating their relationships. This isn't just a football story. It's a business disaster. The Browns may have made a football decision, but the financial fallout is spreading fast, and it's brutal. Major brands that bet big on Sanders' star power are now watching their marketing plans burn. With Sanders off the field, their investments don't have the same sparkle. And those sponsors aren't waiting around. They're pulling back, demanding answers, and calculating losses. If you think corporate partners care more about depth charts than audience metrics, think again. This benching didn't just upset the locker room, it's destabilizing the entire Browns ecosystem. And then there's Kevin Stefanski, the head coach, trying to hold the narrative together with duct tape and recycled press conference lines. His defense of Flacco might have passed as coach speak a few weeks ago. Now, it reads as complete denial. The locker room isn't buying it. The front office isn't united. And fans? They're demanding his job. The whispers have turned into headlines. Stefanski's authority is slipping. Ownership is under pressure. The Browns, who've always had a fragile identity, are now in a full-on identity crisis. Jimmy Haslam, the man at the top, is left with two choices: clean house or ride this disaster all the way down. There's no in-between. And while chaos reigns upstairs, Sanders himself has stayed professional. No dramatic pressers. No cryptic tweets. He's supporting teammates, keeping his cool. But if you're paying attention, the signs are there. His body language. His tone. His team behind the scenes. They're not sitting still. His reps are watching the franchise unravel, and they're calculating too. The clock is ticking. And it's not just about Sanders' future anymore. This moment could reshape the franchise's long-term viability. We're talking about primetime losses so severe that networks are re-evaluating future scheduling. The Browns were already clinging to national relevance. Now, they're in danger of being pulled from spotlight games altogether. And that's not just an ego bruise, it's a revenue hemorrhage. Because here's the thing. When a team benches its most marketable player, fumbles the PR response, and alienates its fanbase all in 1 week, advertisers notice. The league notices. The networks definitely notice. And they're pissed. Cleveland's dysfunction is now a league-level problem. It's not just about one quarterback decision, it's about the precedent it sets. The NFL runs on engagement, on storylines, on marketable stars. When a franchise takes one of those stars and buries him without explanation, and then tanks viewership in the process, it forces the league to act. There are conversations happening now about pulling Cleveland out of primetime rotations, about reshuffling schedules to protect national ratings. When was the last time a team got benched by the league? This kind of collapse doesn't stay local. It spirals. Local businesses, depending on game day traffic, already seeing the effects. Merch sales? Dipping. Ticket demand? Plummeting. Cleveland isn't just losing games, they're losing economic ground. Fast. And this isn't happening in a vacuum. Every other team, every executive, every agent is watching this unfold. They're taking notes. Because what's happening in Cleveland is the NFL's worst-case scenario. A perfect storm of bad football decisions, broken leadership, and financial backlash. This is what it looks like when a franchise forgets that in 2025, sports are about business as much as the box score. The Browns are in free fall and they did it to themselves. This isn't just a matter of a bad coaching call or a rough night against a better team. No. This is what happens when a franchise systematically ignores its fans, buries its star, and pretends the optics don't matter. Well, they matter now. You don't bench Shedeur Sanders twice and expect the world to just shrug and move on. Not in a league built on quarterback narratives. Not in a media ecosystem fueled by hype, ratings, and highlight reels. The Browns had a golden opportunity handed to them. A breakout star with charisma, commercial appeal, and fan momentum. And instead of building around him, they benched him. In prime time. Against a playoff-caliber team. Again. And what did we get in return? Another Flacco start. Another tired storyline. Another chance to watch the offense sputter while fans at home hit exit to menu. Let's talk about that 40% drop in viewership, because that's the number that broke the internet. That's not just a few angry fans unplugging. That's a mass exodus. That's a statement. And it was loud. You'd think an organization that's been the butt of NFL jokes for the better part of 2 decades would be hypersensitive to what the fans want. But no. The Browns went rogue. And now they're watching in real time as the floor drops out from under them. Sponsorships tied to Sanders' brand? Already walking. Streaming partners? Quietly furious. The league office? Holding emergency meetings about how to clean this up before it infects national ratings. It's not just Cleveland's problem anymore. It's everyone's problem now. The Browns didn't just fumble a quarterback decision. They created a trust crisis. And that's the one thing no sports team can afford to lose. Especially this one. Because let's be honest, the Cleveland fanbase has been through hell. Through blown picks, fake promises, relocation trauma, and more quarterback experiments than a Madden franchise mode gone wrong. And even they have limits. This latest stunt? That was the line. And the reactions are brutal. Fan pages are shutting down. Reddit threads have gone scorched earth. Local bars are replacing Browns specials with Lions drink discounts. In Cleveland, season ticket holders are openly saying they won't renew. Sponsors that poured money into Sanders-focused ad campaigns are now renegotiating contracts and shifting ad dollars elsewhere. Because you can't sell a benched quarterback. You can't brand dysfunction. And at the center of it all is Kevin Stefanski, clinging to whatever is left of his authority. His decision to ride with Flacco, even as Sanders stood ready, wasn't just controversial, it was career-denting. And when he stepped up post-game to defend it, there wasn't conviction in his voice. There was spin. And fans heard it. They've heard it for years. It's not working anymore. Now let's talk about ownership, because Jimmy Haslam is sitting in the eye of this storm with a franchise bleeding public goodwill and national relevance. What does he do next? That's the billion-dollar question. Fire Stefanski? That sends a message, but it also confirms the chaos. Stick with him? That tells fans the dysfunction is permanent. There's no win here. Only choices about which kind of pain you're willing to endure. And somewhere in all this is Shedeur Sanders, playing the role of the quiet professional while the franchise around him implodes. You won't see him lashing out publicly. No angry interviews. No cryptic social posts. But insiders are reading the room. The look on his face when Flacco took the field again? The conversations his reps are having behind closed doors? There's smoke. And where there's smoke in the NFL, there's usually movement coming. Don't be surprised if this turns into something much bigger. Because right now, Cleveland isn't just losing football games. They're losing control of the narrative. And in the NFL, the narrative is everything. Once a team becomes known for wasting talent, ignoring fan feedback, and hemorrhaging revenue, it's almost impossible to come back from that. Reputation sticks. And the Browns are dangerously close to rebranding themselves not as underdogs, but as liabilities. Let's zoom out. This isn't just about one team, one game, or one quarterback. This is about what happens when a franchise gets so stuck in its own decision-making bubble that it forgets who it's actually playing for. Because for all the game plans, analytics, and post-game spin, there's one rule every successful franchise knows. You don't piss off the fans. And the Browns? They lit the fuse. They dared their audience to walk away. And now they're learning what happens when that audience actually does. Broadcast partners are furious. Ratings took a nosedive that could have ripple effects for the entire network schedule. The league is worried. If a star player like Sanders can be benched in a major market during a national broadcast and it results in a complete viewership collapse, who's safe? This is the nightmare scenario for the NFL, a team so misaligned with its audience that one personnel decision leads to canceled subscriptions, lost ad revenue, and a permanent dent in credibility. The economics of this league depend on keeping stars visible and fans engaged. And Cleveland just showed the world what happens when you mess with that formula. The NFL might not say it publicly, but behind the scenes, conversations are happening. Relegating the Browns from primetime matchups. Shifting games to less prominent time slots. Quiet pressure on ownership to make front office changes. Because when one franchise becomes a threat to the entire product, intervention isn't optional. It's inevitable. And the worst part? There's no plan. No public explanation from Stefanski that actually makes sense. No roadmap from ownership. Just silence. A void where leadership should be. And that void is being filled by outrage, speculation, and increasingly unfiltered fan fury. So what happens now? The Browns can't keep pretending this is normal. Not when the fanbase is organizing protests. Not when long-term sponsors are leaking statements of concern. Not when your quarterback controversy is spilling out into the league's entire media strategy. Something has to give. The team could bench Flacco and reinstall Sanders, but that move now looks desperate. It's not leadership, it's damage control. They could fire Stefanski, but mid-season coaching changes send a clear message of instability. And if they stand pat? If they keep doubling down on the same plan that's already blown up in their face? They might just lose everything. Because trust doesn't come back easily. Not after this. And especially not in a city that has seen this team break hearts too many times to count. And let's not forget, Sanders has options. He's young. He's marketable. He has leverage. If his camp decides that Cleveland is too chaotic, too toxic, too unstable to build a career around, he's gone. And what then? What does Cleveland have left when the fans are gone, the sponsors have walked, and the future walks out the door in cleats? They're left with regret. All because someone in that building thought benching the only spark this team had twice was a good idea. This isn't just a meltdown. It's a slow-motion implosion. And unless the Browns act fast and publicly, the only thing they'll be leading the league in is irrelevance. So to the fans? You've seen this movie before, but never quite like this. You were patient. You were loyal. And now you're done. To the ownership? The time for quiet meetings and vague press statements is over. You either fix this, or prepare to lose the last shreds of respect this franchise still had. And to the rest of the league? Take notes. This is how quickly a franchise can burn everything to the ground, not from losses on the field but from arrogance in the boardroom. There's a phrase football lifers like to throw around: you don't bench your future to protect your past. But in Cleveland? That's exactly what just happened. They benched Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback tied to excitement, ratings, and literal brand equity, in favor of Joe Flacco, the living embodiment of meh. And now the entire organization is paying the price. Because this wasn't just a tactical move. This was a cultural one. A signal flare to fans that the Browns still don't understand what it means to build. What it means to evolve. What it means to protect the one thing they haven't had in years: momentum. Shedeur wasn't just another rookie trying to earn his stripes, he was the draw. The player who made Cleveland games matter. The one casual viewers tuned in for. The one who made highlight reels feel watchable again. And when you sideline someone like that, you better have a good reason. Cleveland didn't. They had a stubborn coaching staff grasping for control. They had a front office so afraid of upsetting a broken status quo that they bulldozed over what was working. And now they have a full-on mutiny, sponsors bailing, fans ghosting, and national broadcasts quietly shifting focus to literally any other team. The fallout is immediate and it's ugly. Let's talk about the viewership collapse again. A 40% nosedive. That's catastrophic in NFL terms. That's the kind of number that makes advertisers panic. It's not even about Cleveland anymore, it's about protecting the league's golden goose, primetime ratings. And when a single quarterback benching torpedoes that many eyeballs, you better believe people are losing sleep in league offices. Fans didn't just change the channel. They changed their relationship with this team. Some fans have been watching the Browns through 20 years of disappointment, quarterback chaos, front office turnover, and heartbreak. But benching Shedeur was the moment they said, enough. And you can't buy that kind of loyalty back with a jersey discount or a desperate Instagram post. The betrayal feels personal. And it should. Shadur, to his credit, has remained a pro. He's kept quiet, kept working, kept showing up for a team that won't show up for him. But let's be real, there's no way his camp isn't watching this disaster unfold and reconsidering everything. His career doesn't need Cleveland the way Cleveland needs him. And that's what makes this such a colossal cell phone. The Browns had him. Had the excitement. Had the audience. Had the media machine lined up and ready to go. And they benched it all. Twice. So what's the game plan now? Try to ride out the storm and pretend everything's fine? Give Flacco another chance to underwhelm while fans sit in half-empty stadiums? Hope the media forgets by next week? That's the thing, this story isn't going away. Because it's not just about a quarterback decision. It's about what it revealed. The leadership void. The disconnection between team and fan base. The complete disregard for modern football as entertainment, not just strategy. You can't run a franchise like it's 1995 and expect 2025 audiences to stay loyal. And don't think other players aren't watching this too. Free agents. Draft prospects. They see what's happening in Cleveland. They see a franchise that won't protect its stars. That caves to the past instead of investing in the future. And that perception? It matters. It changes everything about who's willing to sign there, build there, believe there. This wasn't just a bad week. It's a brand implosion. And what's wild is that it could have been avoided so easily. Just stick with Shadur. Keep the vibes alive. Let the fans have something. But no, Cleveland did what Cleveland does. Snatched defeat from the jaws of relevance. Made the worst possible call at the worst possible time and acted surprised when the world turned on them. And now the question is, how bad does it have to get before someone finally makes a real decision? Because there are only two ways this ends. Option 1, Cleveland swallows its pride, makes visible changes, coaching, leadership, whatever it takes, and tries to win back the people who made this team matter in the first place. Option 2, they keep spiraling, keep benching the future, keep pretending like it's just another rough patch, until there's no one left watching, buying, or believing. We're teetering on the edge of that second option right now. The Browns are one more PR misfire away from being not just unpopular, but irrelevant. And in the NFL, that's death. Ratings are everything. Relevance is everything. And when you lose that, you're not just a bad team. You're a liability. So yeah, huge trouble might be an understatement. This is existential. One more week like this and the Browns won't need to worry about angry fans. They'll need to worry about having fans at all. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you do if you were running this disaster? Is there any path forward that doesn't involve a total teardown? And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We break down the meltdowns, the media flops, and the moments where sports go off the rails, because sometimes the drama off the field is way better than the game. And Cleveland? You've just taken the crown.